live. So if you see me looking down right now, that is because I am opening up the windows to see where, just to make sure that we're all there, right? Um, so it looks like I am live over in the Facebook group, so that makes me think that it will be live over in YouTube as well. All right, so welcome to today's training. I am going to be going over the 4 P's of a marketing mix. It's so funny how sometimes I take for granted the stuff that I know. I learned about this a long time ago because this whole marketing mix strategy has been taught in textbooks for years and years and years. And I have a degree in marketing, so I obviously learned about these 4 P's. And I've also been seeing how the 4 P's work out in the real world. And so I wanted to give a little particular little presentation because I think visuals really help with this one to really understand what is going on with it. So I want to make sure. There we go. All right. So we are going to be talking about, as I said, the 4 P's of a marketing mix. And oops, let me pull up my screen. There we go. So before we begin, I want to make this kind of clear because I think this is an obvious thing, but I don't think people stop to actually think about it. So marketing takes a day to learn, maybe not a day, but in general, you can learn all, if you really just spent your time and learned all about the basics of marketing, it would only take you probably a good weekend to really get all of the basics down. But it does take a really long time to understand the intricacies of how marketing works. And, if you were like most people, you went to school, and if you have a degree in marketing, you're probably not over here watching my live right now. You are probably doing your own version of this live, right? So, but everyone else, unless you happen to take a bunch of marketing classes, you probably don't really have the foundation as far as marketing goes. So it does take time to really get into it, and that's what I'm here to help you with, is start learning really how to understand the whole thing about how marketing works and all that good stuff. All right, so that's the first thing. All right, so the 4 P's can be broken down into 4 P words, probably not a surprise there. So the first one is product. The second is price. The third one is place. And the fourth one is promotion. So I think price is pretty obvious. You have to price your offer, your product, your service. I will use the word product or offer. Those are usually the 2 words that I use, but just know that it can be an actual physical product or a service or a whatever, that you provide. Whatever you are selling, that is your product. But pricing in general is, it makes sense if you're, we have an understanding of what things are worth. Like, we wouldn't expect to pay, $50 for a gallon of milk unless there was actually a lot of the other parts of the marketing mix that were in there that helped us to understand why that product is worth, $50, right? So that's why this mix is really important to understand, is because we inherently have a value set on price. And so price is just a portion of it, but it does have to match all of the other things. So in this, when you have your place, which is, where you're selling, like, are you a physical location and you have an actual place, or are you selling online? How are you selling it online? Where you're selling it online? Are you a digital ebook that you have available through, the Amazon Kindle program? Are you doing an online course that you're hosting over at Kajabi? Are you, doing a group coaching program that, you're doing exclusively through Facebook? Or, are you targeting or working with high executives, and so you're creating a group program over on LinkedIn, right? There's so many different places where you can be, especially online. And because I know that you're here, you're wanting to know about where to be online. So I will always be focusing on the online, but just know that this actually does come into place to place to when you're thinking about a physical location. So obviously that is a little bit beyond what I am talking about. So if you do have a physical location, you do really want to take the place into consideration. And then the fourth aspect of marketing is promotion. Now, there's a mistake or a belief that marketing means advertising. It does not. Advertising is just one small portion of marketing, and everything that you do goes underneath promotion. And advertising is a part of promotion. But posting on social media like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever platform you're on, that's also promotion. So you know, if you send a thank you letter to your client, that is also promotion. Everything that you do for the most part to get the word out there is considered promotion. And then last but definitely not least is the product. And once you start seeing where all these areas overlap, you will see that the thing that probably people get the held up on the most is actually the product, even though they think they have the product done correctly. So let's kind of break down what it's going to think about, like what it would look like if you got two of each of these things correct, right? Like you say you've got your product and your price together. Well, if you're not able to promote that product and you're not in the right location to get that information out to the people, and even though your product might be perfect and your price might be perfect, if no one knows about it and no one knows where to find it, you basically have a very expensive hobby. So you can see how price and product are great, you can get those, but you still have to get the promotion in place. Now, let's say that your place is good, your price is good, but you haven't nailed down your product or your promotion, then your product is going to get overlooked. So let's say, for example, you are targeting moms who are married, who are stay-at-home moms whose spouses make $200,000 or more a year, and you're in a Facebook group that is specifically for stay-at-home moms that have, the funds they need. I don't know what that group would be called, but I'm sure there's a group out there that have the funds they need to create a homeschool environment that is whatever, right? So maybe you have the perfect solution for that, right? Maybe you know exactly how to serve your customers, but you don't have the promotion part, so they're really not finding out about it. And you know where they are, but you also maybe haven't defined the product correctly. So you can see how, like, if your product isn't clear, they're not going to know that they need your product, right? And if your promotion about your product isn't clear, they're not going to know that you need your product. So it's important that you get the promotion and the product right, because otherwise you're just going to have an overlooked offer. And then let's see if we have the click. There it is. All right, let's say you have the promotion right. Like, you know how to promote your product, and you're really good at writing ads, and you know how to get the word out there, and you're in the right place. But if your product and your price are not in alignment, or they're not working out right, you're just going to have a lot of people like looking at your product, because they're going to click on your promotion, whatever your promotion is, and they're going to check it out, but it's not going to feel right to them. I heard this example in a group that I was in, and I kind of expanded on it, and I think it's really a useful analogy. Let's say, for example, you have a Rolls Royce. You are the ultimate service provider. Like, you know how to take your clients from where they are right now to the most amazing transformation so they can live their best lives. So that's like the Rolls Royce. Like, you have it all. But you're unsure of yourself. And instead of, so your product is this whole Rolls Royce. You're like, I'm going to help you, lose weight, get more sleep, get a eating program, figure out how to meditate and breathe correctly, right? Like, all of the things that we all know that we're supposed to do. But then your program is only $27 or $27 a month, or, even $500 to do all of that. Something doesn't feel right. Like, if you saw a Rolls Royce listed for $1,000, you're really like, something is really wrong with that. I have no idea. I'm not even gonna like pay attention to it. You might check out the ad and go, oh, interesting, right? But you're not going to actually purchase because something about the product is and the pricing is off, right? So maybe you're in the right location and you've got the right promotion, but you don't have that product and price. You're going to have a bunch of looky-loos, and that's also not very good for your marketing mix, right? And then let's say you get your promotion right and your products right, but the place and the price aren't right. So let's say you have got all the promotion, you're the Rolls Royce, you're offering all of this stuff, and you've got the most amazing promotion, and then that price doesn't quite match the product. Maybe it's most likely it's too low for what the product that you're offering, and the place where you're getting all these people, maybe it's like social media, maybe you haven't done targeted advertising to get the right people in there. You're kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, and like, I'm over here on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and doing all the different kinds of promotions that you can be doing to try to get people in. But if your price and your place aren't right and they don't match your product and your promotion, you're going to have a lot of people that are looking for those freebies. And that's what I mean by a tire kicker, right? They're like, yeah, let me check this out. Let me see what they can give me first, right? Because they're not either confident on themselves or ready to make that transformation, or they're just tire kickers, right? They just want to get the most amount of free information out there as possible. At that point, in their journey, they haven't gotten to the point where this whole time and energy that they're spending, taking these low cost courses and taking, getting all the free information, downloading ebooks and never reading them, or enrolling, forgetting to show up for the free training classes, whatever it is, right? Like they're really not doing the work that is needed. So they're just kind of like out there kind of feeling it. And it's because it hasn't, what you're offering doesn't match them. And it's because like maybe your product is too transformational and they're not ready for it. But more often than not, what happens is it's a low price that doesn't match the product, and your promotion is good. And so people are just trying to get the most out of you for free. Now, I know this as a website developer who's been doing this for years. My worst clients, absolute worst clients, are the ones that just talked me down price, just kind of like whittled away my price down. And it was usually because I was in a place where I needed the money and I needed to take the job. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I know that this should be a $3,000 project, but I'm going to do it for you for $1,000 because I just rather get that $1,000 in my pocket and, have food on the table. Right. They're also the ones that want to keep they're making you do work for free constantly because your product and your price don't match. And so they're just constantly trying to like get everything out of you. And they're the ones who are late giving me the content. They canceled their meetings, they rescheduled, they're like never on time with any of the commitments that we make for each other. And at the end of the day, that $1,000, project that I took on, which I should have been making $3,000, ends up costing me like tons of time, and which, time is money, right? So instead of making, like back like when I was starting, I was still only pricing myself sometimes at like $35 an hour or $50 an hour when I really should have been making like $75, $100, $150 an hour. And then because of so much time I was putting into it, I was like not even making minimum wage half the time. And this is why the marketing mix is so important. You have to get all of these pieces right. And if you know that what you deliver is a high value, that you can, get this transformation for your clients, then your price needs to match that. And your promotion of your product needs to match that. And if there is a disconnect in there, it just doesn't feel right. I mean, you're just not going to buy that $1,000 Rolls Royce, no matter how good of an offer it looks like, right? Unless that is in your price range of like, oh, you know what, I can throw that money away and not care. But most people are not like that. And especially when it comes to if you are a service provider that requires effort on the other person's part, like showing up, doing the work, especially if they've got like, exercises they have to do daily or at least a few times a week, you really need that product and that price to match because it's all about where your client is and how your product is going to, work for your client. Now, if you're new here, this might be the first time you're hearing about this. If you've been here, then you know what I'm about to say, and it's all about having your right ideal client profile because when you really get into the heart of what your client needs, and especially as a service provider, the reason that you are in business most likely is because you are trying to help these people and improve their lives. And what needs to happen in order for them to make that commitment is the pain of where their life is right now needs to be greater than the price of what you are offering. Now, most people do not know their problems. I've talked about this before. This is the vast majority of where your clients, your future clients are right now. Right now, they're out there in the world and they do not actually know what their problem is. And so this is where your marketing mix comes into play because if you do it right, if you get that product that matches the price and you're able to promote it and you're able to get into the right place where those clients are, this is where you're going to make the biggest impact. And now it's a profit zone because at the end of the day, you're getting clients that are going to want to make this transformation because they realize that the life that they have right now can be greatly improved by the product that you are offering. And so they are willing to take that time and that money and that commitment to make that change. And there is something to be said about having a higher price and a higher, because it's a higher commitment. Most people, can purchase a $27 product. Maybe it's a monthly membership or, even if it's $20 or a free class, and maybe they'll show up or maybe they won't. But even if you give them all of the tools that they need to be able to make the transformations that are really going to change their life, like maybe you do an hour-long class for free, and you tell them, all right, do this every day. And at the end, like in next month when we meet again, you're going to see these changes. They're not going to do it because there wasn't this like exchange of value for them. I'm not saying everybody because there are some people that are definitely in some, monetary binds. And so they really do appreciate and take advantage of the free offerings that are available. I've been there and I've been so thankful for, certain people that have come into my life and have been able to help me and give me something for free when I really needed it and I wasn't able to, pay for it. But when it comes to business, going back over to this 4P pricing or marketing mix, right? If your product and your price is too low, then it's not sustainable for a business and it's really more of a hobby that maybe brings you in some money, but it's not a hobby to live off of. So you really have to get this all together. And, I'm going to recap here. The biggest thing that I see is that most people's product and offer is not clear. It is like, I'm going to go back to that Rolls Royce. If you see a Rolls Royce for $1,000, something just is wrong with that, right? And, your promotion part of it is going to be off because if you can really, and if your product, so let's say, you're saying you're going to deliver, a Rolls Royce or like, say you're a service provider and you are creating a real transformation in someone's life. And let's do that example of the eating plan, the exercise plan, the meditation practice, the sleep program, and I don't remember what else I said, breathing practices, right? And you say, I'm going to give this to you in 6 weeks, or even that doesn't work. Now, 6 months, you're like, okay, you know what? That makes sense. We work on this for 6 months. That's starting to sound right. But that's because your product is starting to match your price, right? So $1,000 for the 6 months starts to sound a little bit more realistic here, right? And then, but really, how much would someone pay to fix all of those things in their life? They probably pay a lot more. But maybe they're not ready to tackle all five of those things, right? What is the realistic thing that you can do and provide as a product for your customer? Is your customer ready to tackle all of those aspects of what you can deliver? Or do you need to get more clear on your product and match your product to where your client is at, and the pain that your client is experiencing, and how you can transform that into a better life, right? That is where the real true, mix is. And the thing is, if you're not clear on your product, then and you don't know your customer, you can't really create a decent strategy, because you're going to be just flinging a bunch of, pasta at the wall, hoping something sticks, and it's probably going to stick on the wrong wall, right? Like if you just throw it up in the air, and really what you want is the target right in front of you. But if you, go over, take a pot, throw it behind your back and see where it lands, then, you might end up with spaghetti over on this wall over here and that wall over there, and nothing on the target that you actually had in front of you. So it's really important to get really, really clear. And even if it means taking time and waiting, to really hammer it out, because you're going to put a lot of effort in there. Or maybe it's about scaling back and starting, with a clearer, easier, smaller product that makes sense, right? Like the product and the price then makes sense. And then when you start and it, and you actually have a clear, framework of how you're going to get them from the pain to the transformation, you can then talk to them about that. You can talk to them about where their pain is and how the solution that you provide is going to get them there. And then it all makes sense for the price. And then your promotion is easy because you already know what you're going to be talking about. Like you can put all of the content together and create a really strategic, plan of action that is going to speak to the right people for your product. I mean, the whole mix of the I'm gonna go back over here and sorry. I'm gonna go back over here. So the whole mix of the 4 P's, the product, the price, the promotion, and the place, they come together very beautifully, and they actually help you create not just profit, but they actually help you make an impact in the world. And this is what people who are out there that are successful, they have figured out. Now, some people figure out pieces of this very quickly and very easily. Maybe, I say quickly and easily, but I actually probably don't think that's really how it happens. Because even the best products out there that seem to take off like automatically and like, they're a big hit, chances are the people who develop them have spent tons of time thinking about this. Maybe they probably spent a lot of time thinking about it until the plan became clear. And then once the plan became clear, they're like, I can do this. And they got out there and they did it. And it worked. And it seemed so easy for them. But really, they probably spent tons of time thinking about while they're in the shower or driving around, or maybe while they're right before they're falling asleep. There's a time that just has to go into strategizing. And, as a whatever your forte is in your product and your offer, your service is, chances are you've spent a lot of time getting good at what you do, especially if you're a service provider. I see so many service providers out there. I mean, as someone who I'm also an intimacy coach. So as someone that knows how to deliver, for people, like I know how to deliver the value that I know I have. But one of the things that it took me a bit to learn and understand was that I could help people through so many different problems, right? I could help them through, talking to their partner, to, getting their, how to like analyze their diet and their health and their sleep to kind of see where their hormone balances are off. And, then I'm not a medical doctor, so I could help direct them in the right direction so they could talk to someone about these things and help them know which tests to even ask for and that kind of stuff. And then I also could help them on meditation practices and breathing practices and actual physical, trauma release work and techniques for how to orgasm, right? I can help them on all of these things. And, I wanted to deliver all of this, but the truth is you can only do so much in a certain time frame. And I kind of did a disservice with my clients when I first started because I was like, oh, we're going to do this in 6 weeks, right? And the truth is, they definitely made improvements on that. But if I had been a little bit more focused on what we were doing and really worked on, 2 or 3 things that I was trying to accomplish in the 6 weeks, right? Instead of the 6 things I was trying to accomplish in the 6 weeks. Like I was like, each week we're going to talk about a different topic and we're going to really delve in. If I had really just focused on 2 or 3 things, they could have gotten so much better in the 6 weeks. And it's really been since the group program was over, the ones that continued to do the work, they're the ones who continued to see improvement because they were doing the same things that that information I gave them. Had we just really focused and fine-tuned it for them, it would have been, it was still a good program, but it would have been a much better program. But more importantly, I would have been able to promote that program better, because the truth is that I had a couple people in that program that maybe it wasn't the right program for them, but I had this big idea of what I was going to offer and the transformations I was going to provide, that it kind of spoke to everybody. And instead of really helping the people that it was geared towards, it helped everybody to an extent, but I would have been stronger if my product had been clearer. Like if my product had been clearer, I could have promoted the product, like the group program. So I could have promoted the group product more clearly, so that way I got the right people in there, because there was probably some people who would have really benefited from that program, but because I wasn't speaking to them, they didn't join. And I did a disservice to them by not getting my product clear, because as a healer, as a especially, like, I'm really talking to my my healers and my therapists and my healer therapists out there. Your job, your passion is to help transform people, and you do a disservice if you don't get clear on how you're going to help them, and that is your product, right? If you got to get that framework down. Now, I do suggest getting out there and trying, right? Because I wouldn't be able to get my program better if I hadn't made these mistakes first. So you got to get out there, but just know that you're not going to get that full marketing mix right probably the first time, without a lot of serious strategizing and thinking through the whole process. But if you really do take these 4 P's into consideration, you're going to get much better results than if really all you're working on is trying to kind of match a product and a price, and you kind of leave off the how your product matches with your ideal client and how you can promote that to your ideal client. All right, so I think that was kind of I'm gonna go check the group real quick and see hold on 1 second, I have this open here, and see what happens here. Oh, that was kind of, I'm going to go check the, okay. So I don't see any comments on there right now. So hopefully you were, I want to see, so see, I can see the group right there. So I don't see any comments right now. If they do show up later, then I will definitely come in and answer them. And I'm sorry about being late. And, oh, look at that. It's starting to create this whole, what's that called? Like the mirror, effect. All right. So, anyways, I hope you got a lot out of this. If you have any comments or questions for me, feel free to drop them in the comment box below. All right. I will see you guys next week. I may have to change the time from 12:30 to 1, only because life stuff, like with my family. There's a new thing that I'm doing with my son on Thursday mornings, and the timing is cutting it a little close. So we'll see next week what happens if I'm able to shave off some time there. So next week I'm still going to try for 12:30, but just beware that it might be changing to 1 p.m. All right, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Let me see where my tab is, where I am live right now, so I can end it. All right, bye, everybody. Wait, where's the stop streaming? There.